All right, guys, it's time for a big one. It's Thor Love and Thunder spoiler heavy review. It's a Thor Love and Thunder spoiler heavy review. Look, if you see my non spoiler review for the film, you'll know where I stand. I think it's an entertaining film. I think it's very, very fun. I think a lot of the humor works, not a lot of it doesn't. The Jane and Thor stuff works for me a lot, and it carries the film. It's the heart of the film. Uh, but really, it was the plot overall and the way things panned out that I just really wasn't the biggest fan of, or really found it all that interesting to invest myself into. Uh, and a lot of that has to do with Gore the God Butcher. Um, it's not really that exciting what he's doing in the film, the actions that he makes. Even though Christian Bale is fantastic in the role, let's just get into it. So, opening scene of the film, he loses his daughter. He's praying to the gods. He finds the gods that he's praying to, and he finds out that the gods he's praying to is basically a joke, and they basically humiliate him. And he says, "You know what? All gods are gonna die. All gods are gonna die." That's his vow because he was just wronged, losing his daughter, and you know what? He's not taking it anymore. So I got it. It's kind of a basic story beat, but okay, you go with it. Uh, he comes to New Asgard. He kills a lot of gods in the process. He comes to New Asgard, and he abducts all these children. Why does he abduct the children? Well, he abducts the children to get Thor to summon to have Stormbreaker to summon the Bifrost, and to summon the Bifrost, he could get to this eternity to where he can make a wish. It's like a wishing well, and the wish he would make is for all gods to die in an instant. Uh, Sort of like Thanos' snap, but in this case only for gods. Um, so I said, okay, I get that whole aspect of it, but the way we get there, and how he abducts the children, one of the children being the son of Heimdall, uh, who was such a prominent character. The character gets killed. You don't know he has a kid. This film, you discover he has a kid. Um, I just didn't understand, because if he had a kid when they were escaping that ship that Thanos takes over in Infinity War, in the beginning of that, why wouldn't Heimdall go with his son? Because he lived on Asgard, I'm assuming, with his father. So when they all had to escape because of Ragnarok, uh, he was obviously on that ship. So maybe Heimdall just said, go, go in one of these escape pods. I'll meet up with you, or something like that. I'm assuming that's what happened, but I mean, you just kind of find out, oh, it's the son of Heimdall, and the kid doesn't really have much to do in the film. Uh, he's an important character, but he's not really given much to do, other than nothing really. He gets captured and he gets saved, and then he practices some swordsmanship at the end of the movie. So I thought that aspect of it kind of didn't work for me. Also, the leading into the gore stuff, abducting the children, having to get Thor to come to be able to get Stormbreaker to use the Bifrost, and I was thinking, instead of totally rewrite it in a sense to where I feel like you didn't need to have abduction of children, and then at the end of the film, Thor giving all the children a temporary power of Zeus or whatever. Uh, I just thought that was so kind of just cheesy and weird and just strange, because all these kids that are just frightful kids, they all just get they get the power at the end of the film that Thor is able to give them. And I just didn't understand, like, if Thor is able to give these kids this power, who says that he couldn't give other people power, when they needed it most? So it's like this is the first time we've ever really seen him bestow power upon people. I just thought it was a little weird. Uh, but to rewrite the thing in a way I think would have worked better is, instead of Gore abducting the children, when he has that fight on New Asgard, when he comes, and it's nighttime and they're having that fight, I think he should have stole Stormbreaker right there. Okay? They can still go to Zeus, do all that fun stuff with Russell Crowe. Really thought that was a fun scene. Enjoyed it a lot. But it's like, okay, he stole it, so now we got to meet him. We know where he's going. Let's go find him. Let's go get him, and when we get there, get my axe back, take him out. So then, one thing leads to another. They get there, uh, and I'm thinking, okay, so if that happens, they could have had it play out the same way. They have a fight, they kind of lose. Jane has to go back to the hospital. Valkyrie has to go to the hospital, and Thor says, I'm going to go by myself. Just like he does in the film, it could have played out similarly. So instead of going and having all these kids, have Thor and Gore going at it, duel, really hardcore duel. Maybe Thor's almost going to die by Gore, and all of a sudden Natalie Portman comes in, saves the day, like she does in the movie. I just think it would have been a lot more powerful if they did that and didn't add these kids into the movie. It was just that aspect of it, the whole really aspect of the abduction of the children and that whole side plot of it. It just did not work for me as much. But I like that Gore is wanting to go to eternity, and he has his goal to wipe out the gods. And at the end of the film, I liked it that Thor said, something about you don't have love, no one to love you. So instead of you just continuing to take life, how about you make your one wish and bring your daughter back, and sacrifice yourself, give your life for hers, in a sense. So I like that aspect. I thought it was a little strange at the end of the film how she's so close to Thor. Thor, I mean, just uh, takes this little girl in as his own almost. I mean, she calls him Uncle Thor. So I thought it was a little weird, how close they got in such a little period of time. I mean, after that scene with the death of Gore, cutting to Thor making pancakes or whatever, I just thought, how much time has passed here? Because these two seem like really close. So it was just kind of strange. I just thought it was really weird how the thing ended. A lot of it just didn't work for me. But the main aspect of it that did work is the Jane Foster, the stuff they pulled from the comics. She has stage 4 cancer, and she's trying to do all these things to save herself. She's called by Mjolnir because one night, with Thor and Jane, he's talking to his hammer and he says, protect her at all costs. So that kind of gets embedded into the hammer. So I like that aspect of it, that they were able to make it make sense how she becomes the mighty Thor, as they call her. I didn't mind that. I thought that was fine. And then how the hammer gives her power and turns her into this god, but at the same time is draining her life force. And she gets weaker every time that she snaps out of it. And every time she comes out of the god form, she's weaker and weaker. So I really thought that was very deep, and it was the stuff in this movie that worked the most. The Jane and Thor stuff I thought was so strong. The scene in the hospital where she's like, come back to me, come back to me. He's like, I'll come back as soon as I can. And all this, I was like, this works. These two really are meant to be together. And even the stuff that you see when they were in a relationship, how they met, Korg is doing the voiceover, and I'm thinking, wow, all this stuff is they're perfectly showing how their relationship was when they were happy. Thor 1 and 2, you don't really get that. You don't really feel for them as a couple. This movie makes you feel for them as a couple. You buy into it, and I thought that was really good. Look, other than that, I think the movie, like I said, it's entertaining. If you saw my non-spoiler review, I said there was a shot or two of CG that looked fake. It was a scene and the bit as soon as they get to Olympus or wherever it is that Zeus is at. As soon as they get there, um, when their boat crashes down, that part it just there's a shot that looked very CG to me. Then they cut to an overhead shot of the boat after it crashed. That looked a little CG to me, but the rest of it looked good. And look, I didn't even mention the Guardians of the Galaxy in my non-spoiler review. They're in the movie for 5 minutes. They're in the beginning of the film. Very quickly, Thor loses the weight. You really have no scenes in the movie with Fat Thor. That's past. He's over it. He's working out. He's getting back into um, uh, shape again. So the stuff with the Guardians, I mean, nobody really has a lot of lines except for Star Lord. Everybody has like one line or two. Kraglin has a surprising amount of screen time, uh, considering how much the Guardians are not in the film. But it was a funny bit with him and his new wife or whatever, so I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, so that's my spoiler thoughts on Thor: Love and Thunder. Guys, comment. Did you see the movie? Do you plan on seeing it? Honestly, this is like not. I like the first Thor movie better than this. I just think it works more overall. I have less problems with the stuff that's happening within it. Uh, so comment down below. How do you feel about the movie? Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Come on, join the community. We got reviews, unboxings, which kind of went away on the channel, but we have update videos, we have reactions, all sorts of stuff. Come on back, check that out. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at RyanKing72 and on Instagram at KingOfRises131. Guys, that's been it for me. Thank you so much for watching my spoiler review for Thor: Love and Thunder, the 29th movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And until next time, over and out.